Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about all things travel. More specifically, we're going to be talking about the wonderful experience of traveling solo, but also the things that you should probably avoid when doing so. If you've got a solo trip in mind or your backpack already packed, stick around for some words of wisdom. Before we get into it though, make sure to subscribe to our channel and remember to turn on notifications to catch more videos like this. Now, let's start planning your adventure. Traveling is of course a wonderful thing and something many of us enjoy and even revolve our lives around. Seeing parts of the world that you're not accustomed to is an enriching and cultural experience that can benefit everyone, especially if you're exploring it by yourself. And while traveling solo can seem a bit daunting, it's actually an incredibly empowering experience that many people prefer or want to experience at least once in their lifetimes. However, it's important to acknowledge the risks you face while traveling alone. Traveling in general can be more than a bit dangerous. Being in a completely new place with different customs and risks is a given when traveling abroad, but you're usually with others when you travel, and therefore less likely to face imminent danger. If you do, there's always somewhere there to help you through it. Traveling solo makes you vulnerable in a completely different way. You're responsible for making all of the judgment calls and need to keep your eyes peeled at all times for signs of trouble. Here are the things we think you should absolutely avoid when traveling solo to make sure your trip is the best it can be. First, don't feel pressured to stay in a hostel. We're kicking it off with one of the most important aspects of travel: accommodation. When seeking out solo traveling and researching the do's and don'ts, one of the main pieces of advice offered is to stay in hostels. Not only is it a cheap way to travel, but it allows you to meet a ton of new people that you wouldn't be able to if you stayed in a hotel. A lot of the people staying in hostels are probably solo travelers like you too. We're going to tell you the opposite though. Don't feel pressured to stay in a hostel just because National Geographic or whatever travel guide you're reading told you to. Remember that traveling solo is a scary thing, and you're already taking a massive and brave step in doing so. If you feel more comfortable staying in a private and secure place, such as a hotel, then do it. Solo travel is going to be scary in 1,000 different ways, so you need to make yourself comfortable and confident as much as you're able to. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, especially at the start of your trip. When you reach your destination, you're probably going to be tired, a bit cranky, and laden with all of your luggage. This means you should avoid being too ambitious at the start of your trip and not making any big plans your first night. Too much pressure on the first few hours there can really take a toll on you when all you really want to do is catch up on a few Z's. Generally, you're going to enjoy yourself a whole lot more on that first day if you make sure your luggage is somewhere safe and you're a bit rested before heading out. There's no pressure to start exploring right away. You're calling all of the shots. Don't go cash happy if you're under budget. Running out of cash on a trip is every traveler's worst nightmare, and unfortunately it happens more often than you'd think. This means you're better off being a bit frugal with your cash. Remember that you're entirely by yourself, and therefore have no one to borrow some cash off of if you run out. It's better to leave with a bit of extra cash knowing you missed out on some expensive wine than being stuck in a city you don't know with no way to get home at the end of it. While we're talking about cash, let's discuss the do's and don'ts of making sure you don't lose it. Last thing you want is for someone to steal your bag on the train, so make sure you're cautious with where you put it. Your best bet to look after your money is to split it up rather than having it all in one place. Have a bit in your bag, a bit in the bum bag, and even some spare cash somewhere no one can get to, such as in your shoe. If you're opting for staying in a hotel, it's probably secure enough to leave some of your cash in a safe offered, so you're not walking around with the entire trip's expenses on you at all times. Don't be shy. Solo traveling is great, as it allows you to really get to know yourself and put yourself out there in ways you've never done before. But just because you went there alone doesn't mean you have to spend the entire trip alone. Make friends where you can, and try to get to know as many people as possible. This is going to take a ton of effort on your part, but it's going to make a difference in stopping you from spending every evening alone in your hotel room. At the same time, don't forget why you're there. If I'm going to guess, I assume you're solo traveling to spend a bit of time with yourself and do some soul searching. That's fantastic, but a lot of people that travel solo get wound up in meeting people, and when they do, they usually end up spending a ton of time with them. This isn't a bad thing and isn't uncommon. It's human nature to seek out company. Just make sure you're not spending all of your time with other solo travelers you meet along the way, and that you're leaving time for just yourself too. Don't party too hard. I know, you're on holiday and you want to let loose. Having a bit of fun is what it's all about, but make sure you remain careful at the same time. This means don't overdo it. and get too intoxicated. No matter how much you might trust the fellow travelers you met or the nice people at the bar, you came here totally alone, so there's not going to be anyone there you can completely trust. God forbid you get too intoxicated and your stuff is stolen or something worse happens. Don't plan too much. There's probably a ton of different things you want to do, but don't go crazy and book every single day up with an action-packed adventure. The beauty of traveling alone is that you don't have anyone else to run plans by, so whatever you want to do, you can do it. No more long and calculated itineraries to make sure everyone has the thing they wanted to do in it. The itinerary is yours and yours alone. Embrace it. Don't forget about reservations. Slightly contradictory to the one above, but equally as important, while it's good not to book a ton of stuff so you've got plenty of options, it's also a good idea to book the things you know you're going to 100% want to do. Think about how bad waiting in an hour-long queue is. Now think about waiting in that queue completely by yourself. Yeah, not fun, is it? Reservations are your friends when it comes to this. Don't make it any harder for yourself than it's already going to be. You're going to have an amazing time solo traveling, but sometimes it's going to be beyond grueling and frustrating. Take this into account and go easy on yourself where you can. You'll really thank yourself by the end of it. This means booking direct flights, hiring rental cars, staying in hotels near areas you want to explore. I know you've probably heard about the nitty and gritty of solo travel and are excited to experience the challenges firsthand. And trust me, there are going to be a ton of challenges. So just make sure you try to plan ahead as much as you can to save the stress where you can. Trust me, some things are bound to go wrong somewhere down the line, so you'll still have the opportunity to tackle a challenge firsthand at some point or another. Not making it harder for yourself means not forgetting to have a plan B too. Know where your adventure might go wrong and what sort of fixes you might need to make before you make them. It's always better to have a backup plan, especially when you're traveling by yourself. It'll save you a ton of stress in the moment. Don't forget to tell someone back home about your plans. I'm not going to scare you off from your solo adventure. I'm just trying to make sure you're safe. That's why it's important to share your plans in detail with someone back home. Let them know all of the dates and times of your trip, where you'll be and when, and what you plan to do. Don't forget to check in back home too, so they know you're okay. You've heard the horror stories of people going missing on solo adventures, and this is usually because they failed to talk to anyone about their adventure. Don't make that mistake. Last of all, don't let your fears get the better of you. We know the idea of traveling solo is super daunting and scary, but it's more than worth it. A lot of people don't have the guts to make a venture like this in their entire lifetime, so be proud that you're going for it, and keep all of the benefits in the forefront of your mind. You're going to come out of this with a deeper knowing of yourself, more courage, and some fantastic memories. Thanks for watching, guys, and be safe in whatever you're doing. Let us know what some of your adventures are down in the comments. We'd love to hear about them. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and to subscribe and turn on notifications before you go. We'll see you for another video.